Afternoon, folks. Dave Smith, Correctional Officer Lifestyle. I've been doing a video series recently about the different classes of correctional officers and what is expected of each one of us. And I've already done correctional officers, and I've already done the correctional officer sergeant. This video is about the correctional officer lieutenant. As a lieutenant, you are just entering the line supervisor stage of your career. Generally, a lieutenant is in charge of a satellite unit, especially in the state of Florida. You're going to be in charge of a work camp, or you're going to be in charge of a forestry camp, work release center, and so forth. On occasion, you will be tasked to lead shift in a main unit. It's not as often as it should be, but it's a little more frequent than it should be. As a lieutenant, it is your responsibility to make sure that your shift is staffed. It is your responsibility to make sure that your shift is safe. As a sergeant, you are responsible for making sure that your housing unit was taken care of, making sure that your officer was doing his job or her job, and making sure that everything in your housing unit was perfectly okay. As a lieutenant, that job is expanded. I can't speak for any other camp, but at the work camp that I worked at when I was a lieutenant, we had 2 dormitories and less than 400 inmates. So it really wasn't that daunting of a task. Like I said, as a lieutenant, you're responsible for your roster, you're responsible for your staff, you're responsible for their leave being approved, denied, reasons for both, either way. You are responsible for every housing unit. It's your job to make sure the sergeants are making sure their officers are doing their job. I kind of know it's kind of a weird thing, but that's part of your responsibility. In the Department of Corrections, especially in the state of Florida, I have noticed that as you go up, it's like walking up a staircase backwards. When you make sergeants, you got to take a step up and a step back. You got to let your officers do their job. When you make lieutenant, you take another step up, take another step back. You have to let your sergeants do their job. That being said, if your sergeants don't have to do their job because you're constantly doing it for them, what justice are you doing them? You're not teaching them, you're not helping them grow. Growing people is something that we do in this business, okay? Growing people is definitely something we do. We have to teach people how to grow. We have to encourage them to grow. We have to give them the necessary tools in which to grow. I don't know about any department other than the state of Florida, but I really don't know about any institution other than my institution in the state of Florida. The average length of service of a sergeant is around 2.5 years. It's not a whole lot of time. I was a sergeant for 7. I was a CO for 13. I was a lieutenant about a year before I came up and started working as a captain. So I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time at the work camp. What time I did spend down there, I enjoyed, because at the smaller units, you have the ability to learn. You have the ability to get on a computer, get your policies and procedures, and read them. You have the ability to get to your emergency plans and read them. Understand this: when you go up in rank to lieutenant, not only does it come with that beautiful white shirt that everybody talks about, white shirt this and white shirt that, it also comes with a different outlook. You have a different set of emergency guidelines that you have to go by, because you're not responsible for just JDORM in an emergency that happens in JDORM. You're responsible for JDORM, you're responsible for getting help there to JDORM, you're responsible for getting the necessary outside agencies down there to JDORM. Whatever you've got going on in JDORM, that's all you, and you've got to make sure that doesn't spill over to the rest of your unit. You've got to make sure that you're allocating resources appropriately. There's a lot that you have to do. All reporting falls on you. If your sergeants and your officers are not reporting things correctly, your chief of security isn't going to look at you or look at your sergeant and your officer. They're going to look at you. They're going to say, Nick, get this right, get this fixed. And it's your job to go to your sergeant and say, get this fixed. You know, if there's a time restraint to your reporting, let's say for a contraband discovery, you've got a time constraint that you have to report this to a certain person in a set amount of time. That falls on you. It does not fall on your sergeants. Yes, you have someone that you can look to for support. You absolutely do have that. You absolutely do have somebody you can look to for support. But they're not always going to be there. It's you. You have to run it. You have to take care of it. You have to be the leader. Now, there are a lot of videos on leaders. Just look online. There's plenty of resources for you to find on how to be an effective leader. But one poignant thing that I have heard over and over and over and over and over again from several of them is if you are not able to influence people, you are not able to lead. Therefore, you have to develop skills to influence people. You have to develop skills to get people to buy into the bigger picture and to get the job done within the guidelines of the policy and procedure. It's a daunting task, it's a difficult task, but it's not an altogether one that you can't do. That's all I really got for lieutenants. Like I said, I was only a lieutenant for a year. I loved it, I did, but it was time for me to move up, move on. That's all I have for this video. Next video will be about the captain, which is where I'm at now. And I'll see you then. David Smith, Correctional Officer Lifestyle. Talk to you later.